Hey guys, welcome back. Today we are going to work on part 2 of the side pass. Let's do a little recap of the last video of some things that we were working on. Obviously the last video, part 1, was just to get your horse to side pass along the fence. So let's go ahead and recap on that a little bit and then we'll show you part 2. So if you remember in part 1, maybe you need to go back and watch it again to refresh your memory, is we just kind of walked on the fence, disengaged the horse, and then ask him to side pass. It looks something like this. Disengage, and then side pass. And primarily the reason why we did that along the fence to keep the horse from going forward and kind of gave you guys a visual of what straight actually is. That is if your fence is straight. So that's important to, it really helps the person out when they walk down the fence. They kind of keep that straight line there, kind of gives you a reference point of what is straight. One more time on this side. Disengage the hip. Now side pass. And it looks something like that. Okay? So now part 2 is we're going to try to do this in the open. And my reins is going to become the new fence, if that makes any sense. So I might have to hold them back a little bit from going forward, but that's okay. So now I'm going to walk up here, okay? And I'm going to ask the horse to side pass, just like if I'm in front of the fence. Press my leg. If the horse moves off of it, great. If he doesn't, I'll bump a little harder, bump a little harder. Now he went forward, back him up, put him back here, press. Now he's just not responding, so disengage. Disengage his hip, get his hip freed up like that. Now go sideways, there, and then release. Okay? So if you see how I kind of got there, I asked horse side pass, horse didn't respond, no big deal. He tried going forward. Again, not a big deal, just backed him up, kept asking him the side pass, and I had to kind of refresh his memory of how to do that. So what I did is I disengaged his hip, just like we did on the wall, and then I went, oh, sideways. He went, oh, that sounds familiar. Okay? So once again, side pass. That time he responded a little better. Press, better, and I'm really happy with that. Just get a couple steps. Press, horse not responding, press harder, kicking a little bit, kind of, but he's not really moving as good as I like, so I'll disengage his hip, get his hip moving freer. Now I'll go to the side pass, and then that was a lot better right there. Very nice. Okay, so what makes the side pass easy for the horse to do is when the hip is working. If the hip is stuck, that side pass does not happen. Okay? The horse will just kind of sit there and go forward and back, and the horse doesn't actually get off your leg. So typically is the illustration I use is get the car rolling and then tell it where to go. If you try to steer a car at a standstill, it doesn't go anywhere. So get the hip moving. It's kind of your gas pedal, your throttle, get it moving. And then go ahead and just say, hey, now steer with the front end with the hip moving, and then it spells side pass. Okay? So I typically do 4, 5, 6 times one direction, and then I'll work on the other side. What I don't do at this stage is go right, then left, then right, then left, right, then left, okay? What that makes the horse do a little bit is they'll start just kind of wallering left and wallering right, like they don't actually quite connect the dots as much. So if you find issues where your horse is not getting off your leg enough, go to the fence, warm them up, get them answering you yes sir, yes ma'am type attitude. Then when you go to the center, your horse will move, something will move over, and that's what we're trying to establish today. Part 2 is moving off my leg in the open direction. And like I said, I'll recap on this a little bit. The horse starts backing up a little bit during the side pass. Not a big deal. Just ride them up again, get them going forward, and I'll stop, ask, and just get the horse to understand, hey, I mean go sideways, and then release. And then try to get a little flow like there. Just get a step or two flowing, then release. Okay? So one thing a lot of people do when they do side passing is the horse will go forward in the beginning because, you know, there's no wall or no fence keeping the horse from going forward, is that they'll get this habit of always pulling, holding their horse in the side pass. Major problems with that, so many, okay? You get them stiff in the chin, you teach them to lean on the pressure, hollows their back out because they're pushing. Okay, so be careful what your hands are doing, okay? So I'm gonna get from the side here so you can kind of see this. There's such a thing as holding your horse's, you would say their mouth, this would be collection. Hold your partner's hand would be a better example of humans. I'm just holding his hand, okay? I'm not pulling, but I'm also not side passing like that. Okay, that'd be great if I could, but we know these green horses are not going to. They're going to go forward every time if you leave your 3 feet of slack in the reins. But I'm just holding. Watch my fingertips. I'm just holding his mouth gently. Okay? Now I'm going to ask him to side pass, and if he goes forward like that, I'm just going to pull a little harder, put him back where I want him to be, there. Now I ask him again, and now see how my hands are just gently holding him, gently. Okay, that's my side pass. Okay, a lot of people like to do this. They'll just grab hold of them like that, and now they're side passing because the first time they asked their horse to side pass, their horse went forward. So they go, if I hold him there, he'll not go forward. Well, all that does is cows him up to you pulling harder and harder and harder. So the go is to side pass your horse with just make a little bit of contact. I'll have to kick him a little bit, a little lazy off my leg. So this would be an example of move his hip, wake his hip up, and it's okay at this point to kind of bump a little harder, wake that hip up. Now get the yes sir attitude. Now side pass. See the difference? Way better. But see my hands? How I'm not just holding him. I'm kind of dancing with him and positioning him as we go sideways. Another thing, what my legs were doing. And when I side pass this horse, I don't just hold. I create a little bit of rhythm. It's not a kick with the spur, but it's a rhythm. And I may use my spur, but I'm kind of taking like horse's side, my leg, and I'll kind of just gently bump them a little bit. And then I'll increase the pressure until the horse gets off of it, some sort. Even a horse that goes forward or backwards is better than one that doesn't move or acknowledge my leg at all. So pay attention to my hands and legs here, and I'm going to look where I want to go. My right leg is going to go on. My hands have not moved first. This is a big thing. A lot of amateurs, when they do a side pass, they start taking hold of the horse again, micromanaging. My legs, or excuse me, my reins are loose, but I can have contact within a second if I need them, but I'm going to leave my hands down. I'm going to look where I want to go. Watch this. I'm going to roll my toe out. I'm going to press my foot, and then I'm going to push a little harder, Now watch what I'm pushing is I'm bumping, and then I'm going to release. Okay? So we'll try that again. I'm going to look where I want to go. I'm going to take my leg, create a little vibration, bump a little harder. Notice how I'm not pulling my hands. And now the horse moved off of it and bump. There's a rhythm. So what I'm looking for is a rhythm. I'm not looking for a horse to move over 2 inches. In the very beginning, a couple inches, the first time or two you go sideways, that's okay. But then start getting a rhythm, which is like a full stride, 30 feet, okay? So watch again. I'm trying to look for a rhythm. It's okay to clock if you need to. Get a little rhythm, bump, bump. There's the rhythm. See that? That would be considered, part two of part two. If that makes any sense. It's just a little bit more advanced in that maneuver within a few minutes. That's usually where you can go with that. Okay? All right, that's a wrap of side passing your horse part 2. Stay tuned for part 3. I will go into a little bit more detail, more refinement of getting your horse show ready and how to speed this up a little bit and create more rhythm. So keep an eye out for part 3 that's coming soon. Thanks again for watching. See you next time.